What are the degrees of murder and what do they mean? Q&A with FreeAdvice.com. You may wonder what happens when a murder occurs. What would happen if it was an accident or intentional? If accidental, will you still be punished and spend time in jail? Hi, we're so happy you are here. The differences between first degree, second degree, and third degree murder may be confusing, especially if it's something you haven't ever had to deal with before. Like all legal situations, every murder case is different, and not all cases fall into the same degree category. Have you jumped on the bandwagon of watching true crime documentaries or listening to true crime podcasts? If so, you certainly aren't alone. Have you ever wondered what determines each degree of murder, and why one is chosen over the next by a judge or jury? Stick around for our video. We are here to delve into all those scary yet sometimes intriguing details. If you're a fan of documentaries or murder mysteries, you've probably heard about the different degrees of murder. Knowing about the degrees, which stand for the intent and severity of a particular murder charge, might not give you the information you've been looking for. Each state places specific labels on its murder charges. The most common degrees of murder are the first and second degrees. But despite the given labels, the common ground of each degree is to increase the punishment with the degree. A harsher sentence will accompany a more blatant, unlawful, and unjust murder crime. Before we proceed, if you need further help, just visit FreeAdvice.com and use our search box to find the best lawyer in your area to help you navigate these tricky legal situations. Our site is 100% free to use, and you can also find guides and helpful information on legal matters such as these. What does first-degree or capital murder mean? First-degree murder is the most severe form of murder. It's also often called capital murder. There are elements involved in identifying a murder to be first-degree. If it was premeditated murder, or when the defendant thought about committing the crime before doing it. Under the consideration of deliberate planning or murdering someone with clear-headed, thought-out decisions. Also, killing with malice requires proof that the defendant committed the crime without cause or legal excuse. For example, a wife caught her husband committing adultery, which led her to poison him to death. The deliberate planning of purchasing poison and actually using it will fall under premeditation. The wife doing it after finding out about the adultery will fall under killing with malice. With all the given elements, this murder case would be considered first-degree murder. So, what are the factors to classify if a murder is first-degree? The factors vary from state to state, but there are primary factors to classify if a murder is a first-degree murder. Motive is the first factor. Why did the offender want to kill the victim? Depending on the severity of the reason, it could equate to a higher degree of felony. The context of the murder is the second factor to be considered. How did the murder occur? In some states, if more than one person is killed simultaneously, or if the victims are under a certain age or considered vulnerable, it can be regarded as first degree. And in some states, the murder charge increases when combined with another felony, such as sexual assault or robbery. The third factor is how the murder is committed. If murder is done in a specific fashion or with a particular weapon, this could enhance the degree charge to a higher level. Now, what is second-degree murder? Like first-degree murder, second-degree murder is killing another with malice, committing a crime without cause or legal excuse, but without premeditation or deliberation. Meaning, the suspect intentionally murdered without planning to do so in advance. Let's use the same example. A wife caught her husband committing adultery. This time, after seeing the situation, without thinking, she immediately grabs a pair of scissors and stabs her husband to death. This time, instead of planning on poisoning her husband, the wife immediately acts upon her intention, resulting in a second-degree murder case. What classifies a third-degree murder conviction or manslaughter charge? While first and second-degree murder has a lot in common, third-degree murder or manslaughter is culpable homicide. There are two types of manslaughter. First, there is involuntary manslaughter, which includes negligence, accidents, and reckless acts that cause someone's death. For example, you hired a nanny to look over your kid while you and your husband both attended a business trip overseas. During the time being, your kid died because the child was left inside the car while the nanny was out picking up groceries. Your child's death resulted directly from the nanny's negligence, as this death could have been prevented. Second, we have voluntary manslaughter. Unlike involuntary, this includes someone who intends to inflict harm on another person without killing them. Let's use the same example. This time, the nanny did have the intention to inflict pain on your kid, but without the intention of killing the child. But since the child is asthmatic, it resulted in voluntary manslaughter. Have you heard the term felony murder when listening to your favorite true crime shows? Felony murder occurs when murder and another felony charge are combined. But what exactly does felony murder entail? Felony murder isn't necessarily planned out or intended. The act of murder itself could be the result of another offense. A death that is an accident will be considered felony murder by most states if it happens while a felony is being committed. For example, in armed robbery cases, if one of the robbers accidentally kills someone, all suspects involved will likely be charged with felony murder. Any defendant charged with murder should understand the degree of their murder charges, because it will affect the level of punishment and defensive strategies. Understanding the different degrees of murder can literally be a life or death decision. Whether you are pursuing a possible law degree or just fascinated with the legal system, we hope this information we shared helped you better understand the different degrees of murder. Remember, if you need legal help, just plug your zip code in the search box at FreeAdvice.com and find experienced lawyers near you. You don't need to do hours of research on your own or try to fight for yourself. There are experienced lawyers eager to offer you their guidance and be your advocate. It's important to be informed about the laws in your area and always to seek the advice of a qualified legal professional if you have any questions. Do you still have questions? Are you wondering about the different types of misdemeanors? Are there degrees of misdemeanors like there are for murder? Yes, there are Class A, B, and C misdemeanors. We have a video that also covers more in-depth information regarding those legal charges. You can check it out on our channel. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Have questions or feedback on what we discussed today? We would love to hear them. Leave your comments below.